Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the HOU Bull Cast show. I'm your host, Aaron, and thank you for tuning in to another episode. Now that I'm back, we're gonna make more videos as soon as I can with the timing that I have. I'm gonna pull I'm gonna pull out a lot of ideas out of my head, making it into videos, no matter what it's about, whether it be Texans football, which we're talking about tonight, or Chicago Bulls basketball, which the draft happened last night with the Bulls selecting Caleb Wilson as well as Dalen Swain. So, two great guys for the young up and coming team that we have in the Bulls with the rebuild that we have. But like I said, we're talking Texans football tonight, especially talking about CJ Stroud, how we feel about this upcoming season with training camp coming up real soon. Everybody's about to get started with the NFL, with Texans. It's about to get crazy, and I know we're all excited about it. So the main thing I wanted to talk about is how are we feeling about CJ Stroud within this upcoming season? And for me, it's cautiously optimistic because we know who CJ Stroud can be. We know the talent he has. We know the mindset he has that he wants to win. We have the culture to win, especially with the defense that we have, which we could have gone far into the playoffs last season if it wasn't for someone like CJ Stroud and the incompetent offense that we had last season. But let's get into it overall with the preseason that CJ Stroud had. And if you're seeing like the lighting go on, obviously because I have the FIFA Mexico game on right now, so I'm watching that right now. So mind lighting. Um, but this past season, CJ Stroud, let's get into it. He started 14 games, ending his season starting as the team's quarterback with a 9-5 record. This was his first year working with Nick Haley, who was as well his first time being an OC. He did have his up and downs, especially against teams, good defenses like the Rams, who he just came from as a coach. Uh, but as the season went on, his play started getting better. In the playoffs, it was iffy because of the talent, because of the just overall execution of plays, mainly because of the quarterback play. You could say that. But to me, Nick Haley did pretty well for his first year. Like I said, he had his downs in the first half of the season, but he started picking it up. And I truly believe Nick Haley will have a good second year as an OC for the Houston Texans. Um, but CJ Stroud, he ended the season with 3,041 passing yards, ranking 19th in the league. He had 19 passing touchdowns, ranking 21st in the league. He had 8 interceptions, ranking 17th in the league. And his completion percentage overall of the year was 64.5%, with a passer rating of 92.9. Now, with the interceptions, these aren't included in the postseason, but the interceptions, there were times where it was due to the receivers. Especially there was one play against the Rams, I believe it was, where Jaden Higgins should have caught the ball, but he sort of let it go while it was in his hands, and defender intercepted it. So that was on CJ. But there were plenty of interceptions that were on CJ that were pretty questionable throws, especially against like uh was it the Jaguars? Yes, I believe it's been a whole year. But a lot of interceptions were on CJ and a lot of mess ups were on CJ because there are times where CJ will play the hero ball, uh, wanting to get more than just, you know, a dump off. Like, just, throw it for 3 yards, that's fine. Throw it for 7 yards, that's fine. We don't need a first down. Like, when you're down, when you're on a 1st and 10, we don't need an immediate first down or a 50-yard pass from you. Just make a good decision play. Don't be desperate, which he can do, which he, was the reason why he struggled because he tried making something out of nothing, which led to turnovers from the quarterback play. Like you didn't really see any mess ups from anybody else this season except for CJ Stroud. Yeah, we had a couple fumbles from our receivers, from our running backs, but the turnovers weren't as bad as the quarterback play. This past season, CJ took 23 sacks, having only about 2.6 seconds in the pocket to make a playmaking decision. A lot of the sacks were on CJ. He held on to the ball too long. Uh, when he knows his read, I felt like he kind of uh, sort of second guesses himself and doesn't make the play. Uh, you wish he made the decision making like he did when he was a rookie, but like right now in this past season, it was due to the offensive line play because how trash it was, but it is still on CJ to make a better decision than the decisions that he made, whether it be the game on the line or whether it be um, just situational in general. He wasn't that great at all this past season, which is why, you know, there are lots of fans calling for don't give him a contract. Don't even re-sign him to anything. Yeah, you can give him the 50-year option, which the Texans gave him, but don't give him any more money because he doesn't deserve it. Who does deserve it is on the other side of the ball, which Will Anderson did get, and he got a lot of it. And that's why this upcoming season is the season where we're all looking at CJ Stroud like, what are you going to do? Where are you going to take us? Because you're the leader of this team, of this offense. And we're looking at you to, you know, improve and take us somewhere we haven't been. Um, but the one thing that didn't help this offense last season was the ineptitude of the run game. There was no run game due to the whole Joe Mixon saga with where he was, what happened to him. So we had to deal with a rookie in Woody Marks and an aging veteran in Nick Chubb, who was a former shell of himself. And you saw it. And Woody Marks, to me, we put too much on Woody Marks, but heading into his second year, I truly feel Woody Marks will do um, good things for us, especially with what we got going on. But the things especially that we did that, GM Nick Casario, that coach D'Amico Ryans, that they did to help CJ Stroud is adding to the offense, which we've been calling for from the draft to re-signings to signings and free agency. And that's what they finally did. And we truly feel that this season is really like, going to be a great season because of who we've added to the offensive um, aspect of the team, like with the signing slash drafting offensive line help, bringing in Brayton Smith, the tackle from the Colts, Wyatt Teller, veteran guard from the Browns, Evan Brown, who's a guard from the Cardinals. He'll probably be a depth chart piece. Drafting rookie Kalen Rutledge, guard, Babechi Nwaiwu, I can't even say that correctly, but who's a guard, and as well as resigning tackle Trent Brown and resigning, a pretty good guard that showed up and showed out last season in Ed Ingram. And seeing this potential offensive line now with Ariata Ursary at the left tackle solidified at that position, you have hope for this offensive line because this offensive line is way looking from what we've heard, from what we can see from the names on this offensive line, and feel this offensive line will be better than the offensive line that CJ Shaw has had his whole career. It's the best he's ever had, and I truly feel, especially with having the white farmer boys and all that, it's the best offensive line he's ever had. And hopefully he has more than 2.6 seconds in the pocket to make a decision. Hopefully we can get it up to 3 seconds, 4 seconds. That would be phenomenal for CJ to not be stressed because I feel because of how trash the offensive line was, CJ, was stressed out, was scared, and there were times where he didn't even want to run because of the whole concussions and everything included in that. So I truly feel it was because the offensive line is why he played scared at times, and we can agree on that. He did play scared. He didn't want to run out of the pocket, even though he has good footwork to run. But we're not saying run every play like Lamar Jackson. No, we're saying run when it's necessary, when you can't find your first, find any read open, but you can see that there's open lane for you to run, which he never took. He did take it a couple times in the season, but after his concussion, he stopped after the Bronco game. But having a great addition to this offense line is phenomenal for CJ's contract year because you want to give him time. You want to protect your quarterback. You want to protect your franchise quarterback, your potential franchise quarterback, instead of throwing him out to the wolves of another defense and just making him look like crap to eventually, more likely, go draft a quarterback in the first round of next year, which we don't want. We want to see CJ thrive in this offense and, like I said, take us to where we haven't been, which we've been hoping and praying for. And for the run game aspect, we acquired David Montgomery from the Lions, and it did make the run game. It does make the run game a little bit better with a better offensive line and a well-timed vet in David Montgomery. Like I said, once again with a second-year season with Woody Marks, who I believe will do good. I wish we did more. I wish we did do more for the run game with the draft or signing a vet to be like a third piece, but we'll see as it goes, but it kind of leaves a little question of what happens if David gets hurt, or what happens if Woody gets hurt. What are we gonna do? I know we got Jawar Jordan um, somewhere around the camp, but I would still like if we could, like, once the 53 man roster is cut from every team, maybe there's a running back that we see as potential. You know what I mean, potential in signing him and just leaving on the team just to be there in case anything bad happens, which I hope not, especially to David Montgomery or Woody Marks. Um, in the receiving game, we have Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, who both had pretty good rookie years, especially Jaden. They're coming into their second year, so I truly feel that they will have good second years in their career. You got Tank Dell and Brevin Jordan coming back from injury. Brevin, I have so much hope for. I'm a fan of Brevin Jordan for. I've been a fan of him since we drafted him, and as well as Tank Dell. I've watched Tank Dell since he was at U of H because I'm a U of H fan. Uh, so seeing Tank Dell deal with the injuries that he dealt with, it is sad. But now that he's back, we hope he can maybe turn it back to 2023. Let's hope. I don't want to rush him back into things, but if he's ready, then you let him loose. You let him be. I truly believe the wide receiver number three. If not, it is what it is. If he's number four, it is what it is. But knowing that he could be number four, it just shows that we have a lot of talent on this team. Um, but but we're going into it with Dalton Schultz coming off a great season. He had a terrific season. I just wish we could have done more with his great season. And we also had the additions of Foster Moreau, tight end from the New Orleans Saints. We drafted Marlon Klein from Michigan, and we drafted Lewis Bond, wide receiver who plays mainly in the slot. So maybe he is in that running with Tank Dell with who gets that slot position. Or it just it's good to see that we have this many receiving options in the depth chart with who we can, make plays with instead of it being just Nico or Jane Higgins, and then that's all we got. Or just some backup that you don't trust. So it's good to see that we have a good amount of depth in this wide receiver group from Nico, Tank, Jane Higgins, Jalen Noel, Xavier Hutchinson, Lewis Bond. It's great. Maybe you want not one. Nah, I can see us running with five or six wide receivers, but uh, then on the wide receiver group is pretty set. Not gonna lie, I wish we would have signed a veteran receiver. I'm not saying Hopkins. I'm not saying anybody like that or Tyreek Hill. No, I'm just saying, wasting money. I'm just saying, I wish we would have got like maybe a decent vet that could have that can help the young guys in the wide receiver group because right now it's just Nico Collins who has the most years under his belt. Once again, like I said though about CJ Stroud, this video is all about CJ. He's playing under his contract. He's playing in his contract year after the Texans picked up his fifth year option. So this season is a must to create a great season, to do what he must to show his fans, with us, the Texan fans. Um, he needs to show this to his team that he is the leader, that he is an elite quarterback for this team for a reason, and he needs to show this to his coaches, D'Amico Ryans, and anybody on the offensive side as well as defensive side. Show them things that they haven't seen when they're practicing in training camp. When trying to do what they think they can prevent CJ from doing, and as well as showing up for Nick Serio to give you that contract, to work with your agent to give you that contract. So overall, like I said, this upcoming season is definitely cautiously optimistic. I truly hope for the best for CJ. I truly hope he can take us farther than what we did last year because that defense was phenomenal. Defense just got even better. Like, you can't even disagree with that. The defense got so much better. And I truly think, of course, defense wins championships, but it also relies on the offense to do their part. You can't just make the defense do everything. You can't make the defense score for you all the time. As it felt like sometimes last season, it felt like the defense was scoring more than the offense. But like I said, that's pretty much all I got. It's mainly just talking about CJ. Like I said, cautiously optimistic. Let me know what you guys think with how you feel up in this upcoming season with CJ Stroud specifically, with how you feel, with how you think he'll do. Maybe predict your stats for him. Depending on what you want to do. Everything is allowed in the comments, whatever you want to do. But yeah, overall, guys, this is all I got. Just want to talk CJ Stroud. Want to talk Texans football for y'all. Like I said, I will talk about Chicago Bulls basketball soon enough. Um, rest in peace to Stacey King. He's a true reason why I wanted to go in. I wanted to do announcing and why I'm doing this. Sorry for the lighting; it's crap. We'll get better once we get up there, and I truly hope y'all can help me with that too. Um, but yeah, like I said, back to Stacey King. He's truly a hero of mine, and it was heartbreaking for us as a Chicago Bulls fan base to lose him. Um, but like I said, guys, not to make it sad. Like I said, that's all I got. I truly appreciate every one of y'all that have stayed subscribed. I'm back. I'm gonna make more videos as much as I can. I'm gonna plot out. I got so many ideas in my head that I want to do. I want to include others in my videos. I want to do so much so that this content can branch out for y'all to see, for others to see, no matter what fan of a team you are of. I just want y'all to come in, tune in, watch what I got to say, and yeah, we're gonna keep growing and growing. But overall, guys, this is the HOU Bull Cast show. I'm your host, Darren. Thank you once again for tuning in. Shout out to my boy JDW. He's a true reason why I do this. He's the reason why I even have this landscape of the channel to do this. I truly appreciate him every minute, every day. But yeah, that's all I got, guys. I truly appreciate y'all. Y'all have a blessed day. Stay good.